Hello class, we are now in lesson 12 and we will talk about the socioeconomic factors affecting business and industry. And we will talk specifically about the government policies. So before we will proceed to our lesson, here's the expectation of this particular lesson. First, after going through this lesson, you are expected to discuss the government policies. You are expected to identify the various socioeconomic factors affecting business and industry in terms of government policies. And then the last one, you are expected to explain the importance of government policies in the business. And then before we'll proceed to our lesson, we will have a pre-test first. So question number one, it is a tool by which government adjusts its spending levels and tax rates to monitor and influence a nation's economy. A. Fiscal policy. B. Monetary policy. C. Government policy. Or letter D. None of the above. It is a tool by which a government adjusts its spending levels and tax rates to monitor and influence a nation's economy. The answer for question number one is letter A. Fiscal policy. Now let's proceed to question number two. It includes the management of money supply and interest rates, aimed to achieving macroeconomic objectives such as controlling inflation, consumption, growth, and liquidity. A. Fiscal policy. B. Monetary policy. C. Government policy. Or D. None of the above. It includes the management of money supply and interest rates, aimed at achieving macroeconomic objectives such as controlling inflation, consumption, growth, and liquidity. So the answer for question number two is letter B, monetary policy. Now let's proceed to question number three. The mandates of this policy are to achieve a stable rise in the gross domestic product and maintain low rates of unemployment and maintain foreign exchange and inflation rates in a predictable range. A. Fiscal policy. B. Monetary policy. C. Government policy. Or D. None of the above. The mandates of this policy are to achieve a stable rise in the gross domestic product, maintain low rates of unemployment, and maintain foreign exchange and inflation rates in a predictable range. A. Fiscal policy. B. Monetary policy. C. Government policy. Or D. None of the above. So the answer for question number three is letter B. Monetary policy. Question number four. His theories have been used as the basis for fiscal and monetary policy. A. Adam Smith. B. David Ricardo. C. John Maynard Keynes. Or D. Karl Marx. His theories have been used as the basis for fiscal and monetary policy. So the answer for question number four is letter C. John Maynard Keynes. Last number five, this theory states that the government can influence macroeconomic productivity levels by increasing or decreasing tax levels and public spending. A. Laissez-faire. B. Invisible hand. C. Game theory. Or D. Keynesian economics. This theory states that the government can influence macroeconomic productivity levels by increasing or decreasing tax levels and public spending. So the answer for question number five is letter D, Keynesian economics. So now let's proceed to the lesson. So we're done with the pre-test. Again, congratulations to those who got the perfect score. Now, since the country runs a mixed economy and also the government in intervention is needed to achieve the economic goals. So the government uses two tools in addressing the economic and social problems in the country. That is monetary policy and the fiscal policy. So monetary policy refers to the actions of central banks to achieve macroeconomic policy objectives such as price stability, full employment, and stable economic growth. And we also have fiscal policy. It refers to the tax and spending policies of the government. So the fiscal policy, the decisions of fiscal policy are determined by the Congress and the administration. So the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas plays no role in determining fiscal policy. So we will talk more about the fiscal policy. Again, there are two tools that being used by our government, the monetary policy and the fiscal policy. So we will talk first about the fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is a tool by which the government adjusts its spending levels and tax rates to monitor and influence the nation's economy. So the fiscal policy is based on the theories of the British economist named John Maynard Keynes, known as the Keynesian economics. So this theory states that the government can influence macroeconomic productivity levels by increasing or decreasing the tax levels. So they have this increasing or decreasing the tax levels and also the public spending. So this can influence the curves of inflation, increases employment, and maintains a healthy value of money. And the fiscal policy plays a very important role in managing the country's economy. Now we will talk also about this, call it train law. Okay, so you can hear this in the administration of Duterte during his time. So the enactment of tax reform for acceleration and inclusions, or also known as TRAIN. Okay, so this is the meaning of TRAIN, tax reform for acceleration and inclusion. So this is one of the examples of fiscal policy. Okay, so again, this is one of the tools of the government to help the economy of our nation. So the train law aims to make the country's tax system simpler, fairer, and more efficient to promote investments. And also it creates jobs and reduce poverty. Okay, so the reform includes the amendments on the personal income tax, also the passive income for both individuals and corporations, also the state tax, donors tax, and value added tax, or we call it VAT, and also excise tax, documentary stamp tax, and tax administration, and among others. So the idea is to find a balance between tax rates and public spending. Okay, so this is one of the challenge of the government to balance the rate of the tax that they impose um, to the businesses and also the public spending. So, for example, stimulating a stagnant economy by increasing spending or lowering the tax or the taxes, also known as expansionary fiscal policy. From the word or from the root word expand, expansionary fiscal policy. So it runs the risk of causing inflation to rise. Again, inflation, it means that the economy of a certain country have experienced this kind of problem. So this is because an increase in the amount of money in the company followed by an increase in the consumer demand will result in a decrease in the value of money. So that is why we can also observe that other countries also experience this kind of problem. It lower the value of their money. So as you can observe, for example, the value of $1 is equivalent to I think 52 or 55 pesos. Okay, so there is a high value of money or the currency of dollar compared to Philippine peso. So it means that it would take more money to buy something that has not changed in value. So let's say an economy has slowed down. The employment levels are up, the consumer spending is down, and the businesses are not making substantial profits. So the government may decide to fuel the economy's engine by decreasing the taxation. So this is one of the ways of the government to help the economy of a certain country. So they will um, lower down the tax, which signals the consumers to spend more, while the government increases also their spending in the form of buying services from the market, such as building roads or schools. So by paying for such services, the government creates jobs and wages that are in turn pumped into the economy. Okay, so for example, if we have this many projects like buildings, not buildings. Oh, is it okay? Government buildings. Another example, bridges, roads, and etc. By having this kind of projects, it creates more jobs and wages that will also in turn, pump into the economy. So pumping money, just like a water, we pump money into the economy by decreasing taxes and increasing government spending is known as a pump priming. Okay, for example, here in this illustration, um, we have here in the lower part work relief and direct relief programs. And then people spend money because of the work relief and direct relief programs. And after the people spending money because it lowers the tax, the business will expand. Okay, because they encourage more customers or consumers to buy their products or services, and then you will feel recovered, just like in the literal pump priming. Okay, the water in this part is only in this level. Okay, the water is only in this level and it cannot goes up. So what these machines did is we call it impeller. So it circulates this kind of machinery here, and then it will push up to, and it will discharge the water. So same with the money, the government imposed such policies to have this recovery. Okay, they lower their taxes so that the consumer will spend more money and the business will recover and it will increases our economy. So with more money in the economy and fewer taxes to pay, consumer demand for goods and services increases as well. You can also observe that if the products or services is very cheap, it encourages you to buy more products and services. But if the products and services are expensive, so you also have this at the back of your mind not to buy a certain products and services. And it can, you know, it will make a problem to the businesses. So this in turn rekindles businesses and turns the cycle from stagnant to active. Just like I have mentioned a while ago in this literal pump priming. Okay, seems like, for example, the water here is stagnant. Okay, stagnant. But if they will use this kind of machinery, it will pump the water and it will goes up. Okay, so the spending of the public or buyers will increase as well. So again, with more money in the economy and fewer taxes to pay, consumer demand for goods and services increases. So this in turn rekindles business and turns the cycle from stagnant to active. So if there are no rains on this process, the increase in the economic productivity can cross over a very fine line and lead to too much money in the market. So this exists in supply decreases the value of money. So it circulates the money while pushing up prices because of the increase in demand for consumer products. Hence, inflation exceeds the reasonable level. So for this reason, fine-tuning the economy through fiscal policy alone can be difficult. And if not improbable, it means to reach the economic goals. So we are done with the fiscal policy and now we will move on to monetary policy. So the monetary policy refers to the actions undertaken by a nation's central bank, okay, from the nation's central bank to control the money supply to achieve macroeconomic goals that promote sustainable economic growth. So the monetary policy is consists of the process of drafting, also announcing and implementing the plan of actions taken by the central bank. So this is the, like for example, currency board or other competent monetary authority of a country that controls the quantity of money in the economy and the channels by which new money is supplied. So there's also this advantage if we will print a lot of money in our country that we are going to discuss later on. So monetary policy is consist of management of money supply and interest rates. So you can see in the fiscal policy, it's more talks more about the taxes, the consumers, buying behavior, and others. While in the monetary policy, this is also one of the responsibility of the government to to manage the supply of the money itself. So it aimed at achieving macroeconomic objectives such as controlling inflation, consumptions, growth, and liquidity. So these are achieved by actions such as modifying the interest rate, also the buying or selling government bonds, regulating foreign exchange rates, and changing the amount of money in the banks are required to maintain its reserves. So the economists, analysts, investors, and financial experts across the globe eagerly await the monetary policy reports and outcome of the meetings involving monetary policy decision making. So again, there is like a monetary board, a certain country, for example, here in the Philippines, they have this meeting, they have this brainstorming about the control of the money supply or supply of the money. So the economists, okay, economists, analysts, investors, and financial experts across the globe is eagerly await the monetary policy report because this board will create a policy report and it will be given or it will be asked by the economists, analysts, investors, and financial experts. So such developments have a long-lasting impact to the overall economy as well as the specific industry sectors or markets. Now, we will talk also about the tariff. Okay, so again, monetary policy is formulated based on the inputs gathered from the various sources. So, for instance, the monetary authority may look at the macroeconomic numbers like GDP, gross domestic product, and also the inflation, also the industry or sector specific growth rates, and associated figures, and also geopolitical developments in the international markets like oil embargo or trade tariff that you are example here in this picture, tariff, okay, or the trade tariffs. So concerns raised by groups representing industries and businesses. So survey results from organizations of repute and inputs from the government and other credible sources. So broadly speaking, in the area of monetary policies, it can be categorized as expansionary or contractionary. Okay. Just like in this illustration from the word expand, from the root word expand, okay, as you can see here in these illustrations, in the drawing, it expands. But the word contractionary. Okay, it is not expanding. Okay, so if a country is facing a high unemployment rate during the slowdown or the recession, the monetary authority can have this option for an expansionary policy aimed to increase the economic performance and expanding economic activity. If they can observe that the country is facing high unemployment, people who don't have a jobs or they are unemployed. Okay, so as a part of the expansionary monetary policy, the monetary authority often lowers the interest rates through various measures that make money saving relatively unfavorable and promotes spending. So it leads to increased money supply in the market with the hope of boosting investment and consumer spending. So lower interest rates means that the businesses and individuals can take loans on the convenient terms to expand the productive activities and spend more on big ticket consumer goods. An example of this is expansionary approach is low to zero interest rates maintained by many lending economies across the globe since the 2008 financial crisis. So if a certain government or a certain bank, if they were lower their interest rates, it encouraged the businessmen to expand their business. If they will expand their businesses, they will hire more employees. However, the increased money supply again can lead to higher inflation. That is also the disadvantage if we will increase the supply of the money, raising the cost of the living and the cost of doing business. Just that's why we can also observe that today, if we will spend 1,000 pesos in the grocery, we can only take a little amount of groceries compared to previous years in which if we will spend 1,000 pesos, we can take a lot of goods in our home. But today, the amount of money has a lesser value. That is also the disadvantage if we will increase the supply of the money. Again, raising the cost of the living and the cost of doing the businesses. So, contractionary monetary policy, this is a tool by increasing interest rates and slowing the growth of the money supply. Okay, so this is one of the tools of the government. They will increase the rates. Okay, they will increase the rates, raise the reserve requirements, and it will expand open market operations. Okay, so again, they will increase the interest rates and they will slowing the growth of the money supply. Okay, they will increase the interest rates. Instead of 10%, they will move to 30% interest rates. And instead of supplying a money, for example, 1 million in a year, they will lessen the supply of the money. Instead of 1 million, we will have this 500,000. So the aims of this is to bring down inflation. Okay, again, what is inflation? The status of the economy of a certain country is decreasing. So there's unemployment, lower value of money, and others. So this can slow economic growth and increase unemployment, but is often required to tame inflation. It helps to eliminate the inflation of a certain country. So now we are in the last slide. We will talk about the significance of the government policies in business and industry. What is the importance of government policies in which we have discussed the fiscal policy and the monetary policy to the business and to the industry? Okay, fiscal policy, monetary policy under the government policy. It talks more on the taxes, spending, interest, interest, money supply. Monetary policy focus more on the interest rates and money supply. Fiscal policy talks more about the taxes and spending of the consumer. customers. So both fiscal and monetary policy plays a large role in managing the economy, and both have direct and indirect impacts on the household finances and also the business operations. So fiscal policy involves tax and spending decisions set by the government and will impact individuals and businesses. If the government wants to spend more, they will hire people and also tap businesses to carry out the projects. Moreover, if the government spends more on infrastructure, specifically in paving roads, transportation of goods can be fast and on time. So, in the monetary policy, on the other hand, is set by the central bank and can boost consumer spending through lower interest rates that make borrowing cheaper on everything from credit cards to mortgage. And it also helps businesses to lend money for business expansions or additional capital for business operations. Okay, I hope it is clear. And last slide, we will reflect on this by Bill Gates. According to Bill Gates, governments will always play a huge part in solving big problems. Okay, governments have this ability to help or to resolve big problems. They set public policy and are uniquely able to provide the resources to make sure or to provide solutions to reach everyone who needs them. And they also fund basic research, which is crucial component of the innovation that improves life for everyone. That is why we also as instructors are encouraged to have this research. The purpose of research is to help the people. It improves their lives. Thank you, and once again, please answer the evaluation quiz at the same time the activity attached in the Google form. Bye bye.